Dash eats some Skittles. Chapter 1. Taste the Rainbow by Trials. Proofread by Foxhole. It had been a long day. After that absolutely ridiculous and rambunctious celebration, Rainbow Dash was exhausted. Pinkie Pie certainly knew how to throw a party, but sometimes it just seemed trivial. No matter how much Dash would party one day, she always seemed to be tired the next, which of course she always contained another party. It was an endless, monotonous routine, often filled with either parties or more parties. Due to the recent influx of these festivities, Dash had become much busier. She found herself doing more things than she had ever done before. Not to mention the other countless jobs she had fulfilled as a weather pony that day, as well as just performing her usual duties such as cleaning the sky or placing rain clouds. Debbie Hoos had just so happened to mess up on her own, which forced Rainbow Dash to clean up her mistake. It was a hard task considering the situation. How any pony could manage to transport half of the town hall up to Cloudsdale was anyone's guess, but it was Rainbow Dash who had to sort it out. It was always Dash's responsibility if someone screwed up. Always. Even if the pony in question had no relation to Rainbow Dash, she would always have to fix the problem. That wasn't her job. She was a weather pony, not a guardian, and certainly not a baggage mule. One day, a specific Pegasus won't be around Ponyville to save the apple orchard from a certain doom. She won't be able to escort a flock of birds back to home safely every day, nor shall she have time or patience to douse the accidental flames of Sugar Cube Corner. It's not like any other pony would be able to protect Ponyville. Where would the town be without that amazingly awesome, stunning, sporty legend of a pony? Down the drain is where it would be. Down the goddess damned drain. The Pegasus lazily opened her wings before jumping into the air, her multicolored mane flowing elegantly in the evening breeze. Occasionally flapping her wings with ease, Dash made her way back to her home in the sky. She flew low above the orchards of the apple trees, giving a rush of air and adrenaline. Even in her lazy mood, the mare couldn't help herself when it comes to aeronautics. She scooped her hoof downwards, retrieving a rather common-looking apple. Well, let's be fair here. It's not like she didn't deserve it. After working her plot off for the entire day, Dash expected a parade of ponies to showcase her efforts and general awesomeness, not just a simple apple. Seriously, Pinkie Pie sings one obnoxiously soppy song, and suddenly she gets the whole town singing along. It would be nice to have her own song for once. Not that she didn't enjoy them, but for the basic principle.
What does it take to get a little recognition around here?
After a small munch, Dash threw the apple from her hoofs. The fruit flew into the air before eventually hitting the ground with a satisfying crunch. It eventually came to a rest at the foot of an abnormally large tree amongst discarded leaves. Dash just wasn't hungry anymore. She had lost her appetite for plain apples. She needed more than just normal garden variety food. Maybe something a little extravagant. New food was always welcome to the mare, no matter the smell or look of the dish. With an exasperated smile, Dash continued on her way. She leisurely flapped her wings against the wind beneath them. Her floating mansion came into view just above the horizon. Soon, she could do whatever the hay she wanted to. Instead of being bossed and forced around all the time, Dash could finally embrace some freedom.
What's that smell?
The scent was almost indescribable, as if it was something that Dash had never smelled before. It was like the fresh morning dew resting on a newly cut tufts of grass, like the intoxicating smell of smoke rising from a roasting fire, like the salty breeze of a fog-ridden sea wafting into an empty harbor, like the faint aroma of plump black currants growing in the summer heat. Exactly like a rainbow. The smell disappeared almost as soon as it had appeared, leaving a certain Pegasus to search the air desperately for it. She just had to try. An aroma like that is extremely rare to find, and the mare wasn't willing to give it just up yet. Dash sniffed deeply, hoping, begging, and pleading to catch another whiff of the mysterious scent. She racked her lungs, sucking in all the air she could, but to no avail. The scent had gone. Dash's entire body slumped as she had just literally deflated like one of Pinkie Pie's patented party balloons. She was never going to smell the beautiful scent again. Instead, to go about her life without it. Dash decided to make a slow descent, flapping her wings in an upward direction. As she dropped closer to the ground, the mare gave a sigh. Rainbow had to return back down to earth, back to the reality of her mediocre lifestyle, back to the arduous, ceaseless labor. With her trembling hooves on the ground, Dash looked up to the stars.
Why can't something good ever happen to me? Just for once!
The Pegasus shouted out to the indifferent sky with a reckless abandon. Her yell echoed throughout the valley, scaring several birds out of their nests. After waiting for several seconds for some form of answer, Dash decidedly gave up. With an exasperated sigh, she lay down on the ground. The mare buried her forehooves in her face. Nothing exciting ever occurred to Dash's time anymore. Even after all she'd done in her life, life had always had to give the last laugh. It always had come back to kick her in the teeth. She had only caught a teaser of the darned thing, just enough to pique her interest. Nothing more. It was just a smell, for Pete's sake! Her head hidden under her hooves, Dash took in the rich aroma of the grass. If she couldn't find that mysterious scent, she would just have to make do with this one. It was only common and she knew it, but it was better than nothing, right? Suddenly, the smell became overpowering, as if it had been multiplied a dozen times over. Instead of just a dainty sniff of grass, it felt like it was being rammed on Dash's nose. Still, it was the same aroma, but it had something much stronger. So strong, in fact, that she had to stand up from the ground to escape the strong odor of grass. That's when she saw it. The small, curious green blob. Spherical in shape, the mysterious green shape bore a faint white S on the middle of it. Curious as to what the new object was, Dash gave it a thing a poke. Unsurprisingly, the anomaly reacted as any other thing would by moving it back slightly. Well, at least it didn't create a brand new list of unsolvable problems. That was a start. No longer so cautious, the mare moved in to sniff the object. Maybe this was the thing giving off the smell. Dash could only wish that her muzzle was descended upon it. She took in another deep sniff. Again, the smell of grass was simply intoxicating. It drew the Pegasus in with a powerful scent. The smell was almost definitely of this thing, whatever the hay it was. Considering its sweet aroma, Dash could only guess that it was from some sort of confectionery. The feel of a brightly colored object indicated that it had a hard exterior, just like most other sweets. After all, the candy Pinkie Pie had given her, the Pegasus considered herself to be a master of sweets, a connoisseur of sugary goodness.
Only one way to find out.
Dash thought.
Here goes nothing.
Dash opened her mouth wide and dropped the green sphere inside. Rolling over with her tongue, she waited for any other kind of taste. Almost instantaneously, Dash felt a burst of taste bounce around her mouth. The extreme zest made her giggle with delight. It was almost so intense that Dash nearly had to spit it out, so sweet was it. Whatever it was causing her teeth to suddenly ache. The taste, however, was absolutely sensational. As the flavor tantalized and excited her taste buds, Dash could only lie on her back and soak up the evening sky above her. At least something had gone right today. There was something inexplicably funny about the sweet, though. Something undeniably recognizable and yet completely new and original at the same time. It almost reminded her of the first time she touched down on solid ground, the first sniff of fresh grass as a filly, the feeling of something beneath her hooves instead of the soft, fluffy cloud. It was all too familiar, and yet the emotions came to her as they did originally, with the same amazement and confusion as she felt before.
Wow. This sweet is weird.
The mare noted. Dash had done a good day's work and all, but her so-called reward was just so abnormal that it completely took her by surprise. Not necessarily in a bad way either, just in a sort of strange, unexpected way. Cyan Pegasus remained on her back until the aftertaste disappeared. Considering how long it took to finally eat it, it wasn't relatively quickly. With a satisfied sigh, Dash continued to stare up at the stars, glimmering from a place far away. Everything looked so much better now that it was slowed down, instead of just rushing around all the time, completing chores or just general activities. Dash should just stop sometimes. Just to take in the scenery. Look at the beautiful place around her. Maybe eat some more of those sweets. That would be the case if she had any. Unfortunately, Dash was too caught up in the spur of the moment to notice the source of the mysterious sweet, explaining why she was now left empty-hoofed, possibly to never experience another magical S-sweet again. As soon as her thoughts left her mind, however, she heard a gentle rustle from the left of her. With a curious expression, Dash turned to face several more of the multicolored magical delectables. Each one was a different color to the others, and it even included another green one. Looking around cautiously, Dash tried to find the origin of this confectionery. Soon, she lost interest. Nothing could keep her attention longer than 5 rainbow-themed sweets sitting on the ground in front of her. With an exclamation of victory, the mare proceeded to scoop the sweets in her hooves, finally her actual reward. She looked at each of them equally, trying to size up how much flavor each one would release. Dash had all the time in the world to eat these sweets, so she might as well enjoy them while they lasted. Eventually, however, she just decided to give in to her natural instinct. She was not a slowpoke, she probably would never be. Unconcerned and unsure about the circumstances, Dash threw the 5 mysterious wonders in her mouth. Instantly, her mouth became heavy with flavor. Drool escaped through her busily chewing mouth, as she attempted to handle the multiple flavors. Her magenta eyes closed in focus as she tried to fend off the assault of colorful, vibrant tastes. Dash was definitely tasting the rainbow. Streams of happy tears rolled down her contorted face when she managed to take several bites out of these colorful sweets residing in her mouth. Much like the first experience of these strange sweets, Dash started to recollect certain events in vivid detail. So many memories packed into her mind, all of them forcing her to buckle under the pressure. If it continued like this, Dash wasn't going to last very long at all. All kinds of old memories drifted in her mind, which reminded her of how awesome life she had led. Even memories she had previously forgotten and passed through. The race that led up to the acquisition of her cutie mark, that amazing prom night with Thunderlane. Even flashbacks regarding her early fillyhood took hold of her mind as she battled with the seemingly endless might of the S-Suites. Eventually, the feed of recollected memories began to slow. The sugary goodness was losing its power, which allowed Dash to regain some of her own. Still under an extremely heavy barrage of senses and emotions, several beads of sweat fell down Rainbow Dash's exasperated face as she ate. After a couple of minutes, the mental onslaught had stopped. Dash sat perched on her hind legs as she panted hard every couple of seconds. The taste still remained in her mouth with a remarkable power, but thankfully not as strong as the first several minutes of her encounter. The flyer continued to stare curiously up at the stars, as faint memories relished in her mind. A small rustling occurred behind her. With the effects of the mysterious sweets still lingering, Dash was in no hurry or mind to pay attention. Still, she slowly tilted her seemingly heavy head in the direction of the disturbance. Coming face to face with a particularly pink party pony, Dash grunted.
Oh, hey there, Dashy.
Pinkie Pie began, a mischievous grin spread across her face.
I was just out with my bag of Skittles here when I overheard you talking. Well, thinking, really, but I still...
Given the fact that Dash found herself unable to speak, she could only make primitive noises to indicate her feelings. Dash gave another, rather uncouth grunt. She wanted Pinkie Pie to get on with it, and manners weren't exactly at the top of her agenda at the moment. Her friend apparently took notice.
Where was I? Oh, yeah. I heard you complaining quite a lot, so I decided to cheer you up.
Pinkie Pie put one of her most ridiculous grin before continuing.
I thought, why don't I give Dashy some entertainment? That'll certainly brighten her day.
The party pony gave a small wink at the pause, trying to help Dash understand. When the Pegasus kept the same unamused expression, Pinkie Pie waved the red bag in front of her friend. Suddenly, Dash became more interested. The crimson bag of Pinkie Pie's hoof was so close, and yet so far away. She licked her lips, as if readying herself to receive more.
I threw some Skittles over to you, and to be honest, you devoured them. There's plenty more where that came from, Dashy. You only have to ask.
So, these sweet little things were called Skittles. That's what the S must stand for. It all made sense. The Earth Pony instantly noticed Dash's ears perked up at the mention of plenty more. The Pegasus looked up at her friend with an apologetic smile. She was obviously attempted to make amends for her previous rudeness. With a small giggle, Pinkie Pie teasingly waved the Skittles bag just out of Dash's reach.
I don't know, Dashy. You did call my song obnoxiously sappy.
The end.